Okay, thank you.
Right here.
You can't get off that easy.
No, I was wondering. I mean, you guys weren't
After all
rushing.
these
You were
years.
rushing.
But you said early on, even in spring, that this is a different group, a different type of defense. I mean, what has changed, do you feel like, and what stayed the same?
Well, it's going to be the same defense, I hope. We want to get back to what we've been doing. What we changed from the beginning of season 2004 to where we were last year. I want to get back to doing those things up to where we're just not playing man all the time. We want to get a few more eyes on the ball, play a little bit more, show a little bit more too high. Even though we might be playing some man, we want to do a little bit more disguise and things of that nature, which we've done in the past. But I think the big thing is getting more eyes on the football. The way offenses are nowadays, there can be a play that may get a crease in the defense, but then I want eyes on the ball that it's not going to be a big play, or an explosive play that we can eliminate that and make the offense snap it again. It's going to be a little bit different from the standpoint that there's some new faces. But I'm excited about that. We've got a group that's working very hard. We need to, in a lot of places though right now, we need to find a fourth guy. About all the places you can find. And if we've got two positions, you might be able to, we've got three guys. We need to find a fourth guy to where we feel comfortable that we can compete and perform and perform at a high level. And that's kind of where we are right now. We're still in the developmental stage of some young guys that we're hoping will, develop sooner than later. And, so this week in particular is going to be a real critical week as far as our continued development. But we're always been kind of that same defense, but we always tweak things a little bit, and we're doing that right now as well. But I like our group of kids. They've worked extremely hard. We just need to have more quality depth, but I'm encouraged by what we're doing.
Bud, you used to face up-tempo offenses maybe once, twice, three times a year. Now you do it every day in practice. Does that change anything with how you operate the defense or go about your business?
Not necessarily, but I will say this: it prepares us. I think for down the road for a team like North Carolina, who's been that group. You hear different rumblings through the first group we play, but also the second group we're going to play. About the style of play. I know Syracuse is going to be a very fast up tempo, but what we do offensively prepares us for that, which I think only helps us down the road.
Faison was at one time one of the top defensive backs in the country. And back here, Coach.
Oh, okay.
Faison at one time was one of the top defensive backs in the country, went through injuries. Is he the old immobile self right now?
He's working at it right now. I really like where Brandon is. He's competing. I think the one thing we're doing right now, we're doing a variety of things on the back end and different techniques and fundamentals. All that group back there, is improving each day, technique and fundamental-wise. And I think this about Brandon his freshman year, we were able to protect him quite a bit and do some things. He played more of a deep half, and we're going to ask him to do a little bit more. From being around the ball and doing some things, being at the line of scrimmage and being more pressed and different things like that. So, but I'm pleased with where he is and where he's working and his mindset.
Coach, Andy asked you about the spread offenses. Have you seen almost the phasing out of your whip position? And then specifically, I know you have Shagag there. Who else is working there?
Right now our whip position, we still have that. And we're going to use that with certain personnel groupings. It'll be more of a two-back to multiple tight end group. I really like what Anthony's doing right now. Mook is the guy that's working our nickel, but we're working him at with 21 and 12 just in case we get some injuries. With our nickel spot, if push came to shove, if we had an injury there, probably Greg Stroman because he played it last year for us. And any of our backers can play kind of that whip spot a little bit because that's what they do in our base coverage. And that position is slowly phasing out, but at the same time, it's still a critical position for us because you're going to play some teams that are going to be physical and want to get into multiple backs and multiple tight ends. And we need a guy that's, can be firm at the point of attack. And but Anthony's doing a great job right now. Backing up would be, probably one of our backers in the end of the day, working that spot.
Coach, a couple questions. The first one quickly is because of the pace of your own offense and that being different and much quicker than what you had in the past, does that require more depth from your defense because of that? And then secondly, if you would just talk about the Edmonds brothers, please.
Yeah. Well, I think, obviously we'd like to have more depth all the way across the board. And I'm encouraged by this young group of kids we have. We need them to grow up sooner than later, so to speak. You need depth just from a standpoint for injuries as much as anything. Right now, as far as what we're doing, Coach Hilgert and his group and how we practice is really developing a great conditioning, so to speak. But obviously, the more players you can have that can perform, that's kind of the key thing. You can have depth, but depth needs to be able to perform and execute. And that's where we need to get a little bit more development at a couple spots. From that standpoint. But, it'd be nice in the perfect world to do that. You've got to be able to substitute people in. That's part of the Uptempo is not allowing you to substitute. So when we do have the opportunity to do that, having quality people that will perform, that's key. Going to the Edmonds brothers, I'm really excited about those guys. And we've had a long line of brothers that have played here. I think it makes a statement about our staff and what we do and how we treat them. Because that second brother in most cases and the third brother in the Edmonds cases are usually the most highly recruited of those brothers. And, they still came here. I think it goes back to our staff and how we treat them most importantly. We always have an opportunity to win here, and we've been competitive over the last, 20-plus seasons. But I think more importantly, how we treat them on a day-to-day basis is why it's that true family. We sell that, we live that. A lot of people sell it but don't live it, and I think that's the difference in what we do. We're consistent on that. But, Terrell has been outstanding. We moved him from our corner, and he can still play corner, but we felt like we needed a speed guy and a playmaker at our rover spot, and that's a critical spot for us. I think he's really developed into that role and like what he's about. He plays fast, he's physical, he's a good tackler. I've said this before, was probably our most improved player and consistent player, one of our most consistent players in the spring. Tremaine, I have a tremendous upside for him. Is he where he needs to be right now? No. He's still learning to play the position and play the position at the high level, but he has those skill sets. He's a willing kid. He improves every day. He's one of those guys. He's very coachable, and then he'll take what you coach and teach and try to implement it and transfer it over to the field. And like I said, I've got high expectations for him, but he's going into his sophomore year. He's a young sophomore as far as age goes, and I'm talking birth age. And but I like what he's all about and where he's going. Good family. We need to have more of them. We'd like to have a few more. Last one for Coach Foster.
Coach, can you talk about Tim Settle's development going all the way back to when he first got on campus, and how big of a role is he going to play in your defense this year?
Yeah, Tim's really, obviously when we recruited him, he was a highly recruited kid. He's always liked Virginia Tech, which was a positive in the recruiting process. But, he's a guy that came in, as the story goes, everybody knows he was a little overweight. Not a little bit, quite a bit. But he's worked extremely hard, and our strength staff, our dietary staff, they've all done it. And Tim, he's shown the discipline to do the right thing and be consistent with what he needs to do to put himself in a position to compete and perform. You can get a big body in there, but now being able to, with the spread offense and the up-tempo offense, having a guy that can be consistent and play at a high level for several snaps. And he's worked extremely hard to get his weight down. He's worked extremely hard to be able to perform at a high level and play a significant number of snaps. But again, he's a freshman. He's still learning a little bit of, from as far as technique and fundamentals, learning the scheme with our movements and different things like that. But I'm excited about where he is right now, and he's only going to be a guy that continues to grow and get better. It's important to Tim. He works extremely hard, and once he gets it right, he's going to be a big physical guy that's got light on his feet, can run for a big kid, and I think he's going to be a force to deal with down the road. Now, like I said, there's a lot of those spots. We'd like those younger guys to be better sooner than later, but it's a developmental process too, and Tim is working at it, and I'm excited about his future.
Thank you,
Okay.
Coach.
Thank y'all.